How y'all doing? CJ Moto. Try to get this sucker set up so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to do a shock rebuild for the ET410. Hopefully it'll help somebody here. Tekno ET410. So I've done a few things already. I got all my parts laid out. Okay. Let me just give you a run through real quick. Alright, so these are X-rings. This is like a shock spacer. This is your shock body. This is like a bottom. This is like what holds the bottom part of the X-ring into the end cap of the shock. You're going to see all this as I'm building them, but that's like your end cap there. O-ring, O-ring. This is the screw that holds the bottom shock collar. It just holds it onto this thing right here. And this thing holds your shock shaft, which is here. And you have your piston right there. And your pistons have different size holes in them depending on what type of performance you want out of your shock. So let's see if we can go over how to build this jank. Alright, hang on. Let me try to get this thing set back up. Try to get a nice view of it all. Okay, let's see here. That's pretty good. Alright, so one thing you need is something like this. Sorry, this is the first type of video I've done like this. And we'll see how it works. There we go. So this is Team Associated Green Slime. So, here we go. First thing I would do, and this isn't, if you have anything you would do differently, go ahead and tell me. But I got this brush, and I brushed everything down real good. And I used some Simple Green. Spray everything off with Simple Green. Brush it all down real good into the trash can. You just kind of get like a trash can and just brush all your stuff off. Real good. I've already taken care of all that. After you brush it all off, take your blue shop towels and wipe your stuff down. Okay? Wipe everything off. Make sure all your dirt and all your old shock oil is gone. For the shock oil, we're doing the rear shock. So we're going to use 42 weight low-C oil in it. So you want to have a little bit of a lighter weight in the rear than the front typically. So we're going to do this fast now. Ready? We're going to take this green slime and we're going to pack. We take these X-rings. These are what really seals everything in. So we're going to pack some green slime in and around our X-rings, okay? Boom. Boom. Okay. X-rings packed. Stuff sticky. Another one. Pack some more green slime in it. Okay. That's good. Now, this is going to be interesting. Alright. The next step. Take some green slime and put it on your shock shaft. Like I said, we already dried out. You got to make sure you get the inside of this thing all dried out. Your shock shaft. So that's all dried out. And now we've got green slime on our shock shaft. Now stick your shock shaft in your piston. Am I right? Am I going to jack this all up? Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's right. Shock shaft piston. This big O-ring. Pack that. Or just like put some green slime on this big O-ring. And that goes in your shock cap. That big one's your shock cap O-ring. Move this camera up a little bit. There we go. So Put the shock cap O-ring back in the shock cap. And I like to use like a little flathead screwdriver or something. Just push it into place. Get it nice and seated. Okay, that part's done. Now, with your shock shaft. Well, actually, I think before you even put the shock shaft in, I'm sorry, you could probably go ahead and put one of these X-rings in the bottom of the shock there. Okay. And then the next thing that goes in is your little black spacer. And then another X-ring. And then after your other X-ring, you got this thing, and you want the flange side down. It's like a flat setup. See that? Flange side down. And then before I would put that flange side in there even, I would add even more of that green slime. So open it up, pack it full of even more of that green slime. Okay. And then where'd she go? Sometimes that'll happen too. Where'd that sucker go? Oh, there it is, it's still in there. Back on there, okay. Put a little more green slime, just a tad. I like to slime it up real good. Okay, because what this stuff does is the green slime doesn't allow your silicone to get out of there. So now your shock cap, thread it on just a little bit. Take your shock shaft, make sure it's still straight and everything, it's not bent up. And before that's threaded on at all, find your hole in there. Okay, now you're gonna see it coming through. It's gonna have that green slime on it, which is great. Bring your shaft through. Boom. Now, take a wipe and just get some of this slime off of the threads down there. And you can go ahead and tighten this up. Don't tighten it super tight, but just snug it up for now. It should feel nice and smooth, which it does. Now, I don't use none of those shock pliers because I'm not a little girl. I just hold the shaft with my hands and maybe a rag. Hold the shaft like this. Take your bottom collar, thread it on all the way. I'm just messing around. When these things are brand new, this can be really a pain in the ass, but this one's used, so it's going to probably thread right on. Thread it all the way up to where you don't have any more threads showing. There you go. So there we go. We got that on there. So now we got our shaft in. Now I'd say it's safe to go ahead and crank this down, okay? And just grab it with your hand and just tighten it. Grab it, put a rag around it. Nice and tight. There you go. So that's nice and tight. Double check it. Perfect. Got some green slime residue coming out of there. That's all fine and dandy. Now, did I mess up? I think I may have, because I got one extra O-ring. Where does this O-ring go? I got my O-ring in my cap. See, I was afraid of that. Let me think here. I even took the thing apart. Hang on, let me take this off real quick. We're gonna learn this thing together. Alright, let's take this back off. And let's think here. Oh, easy. That O-ring goes right there. I forgot that O-ring. So all we gotta do now, remove that again. That's why you want to have all your parts laid out. That's why you want to have all your parts laid out. If you forget something, you'll realize it soon enough. Okay, we got that back off. We still got all of our stuff in there. This O-ring goes here. This is your seal. Goes right there. See it? Black O-ring. Goes right there. See it? Black O-ring. Some more green slime. Okay. Slide that back on. Slide that back on. Crank it back down. Okay. Green slime shot out the end, that's good. Nice and tight. Shot out the end, that's good. Nice and tight. Put this end back on your shock shaft. We're getting close. Alright, so that end's back on there real good. Everything's nice and smooth. Now we're ready. You gotta pull. Everything's nice and smooth. Now we're ready. You gotta pull these tops off. Pull these tops off of these oils, and then it's gonna have this thing on it. Boom, boom. Open it up. These are emulsion style shocks, which means that there's little micro air bubbles that are in there. These are emulsion style shocks, which means that there's little micro air bubbles that are in there all the time. Let me put this back up a little bit now, since there's not that many parts down there anymore. Okay, so you got that piston in there. You're gonna take your oil and fill up here. You're gonna take your oil and fill up your shock almost all the way. Okay. Pump it up and down a few times. There's gonna be little air bubbles that come up through here that are trapped in the bottom. So you pump up through here that are trapped in the bottom. So you pump it up, You see that piston in there? And you see it move back down? A little's leaking, that's okay. Swipe it off. Pump it up and down. Wait a few seconds. Pump it up and down. Wait a few seconds. I'm not too worried about getting all the air bubbles out of this. Get as many out as I can. But these are emulsion style shocks. So, like I said before, there's going to be air bubbles in there. There's going to be air bubbles in there. Okay. You normally want to wait a little longer than this for those air bubbles to come out. Look at this beauty. I'm in love. Look at this beauty. I'm in love. Look at that. And while you have your shocks off, see, it's good to have a stand to hold these while you're messing with things. I don't. I was just trying to figure something out, but I wanted to show you something, but I don't have a stand. But I wanted to give you another little tip. Here, let me see if I can hold this up right here. Come on, baby, stay. There we go, I got her to stand. It's gonna fall over, I just know it. While you have your shocks off, see, I got one shock on this side. That's how the sway bar works, by the way. But while you have your shock off, go over here to where the shock's off. See how that's just flippity floppity? That's what you want while that shock's off. See that you've got that just super no resistance, just perfectly flopping around. Okay? Something's binding up or something, that's a good time to figure it out while your shock's off. Alright, back to that. We got that done. Now what you're going to do is top it off with oil until it bubbles over. Pull the shaft all the way down. After you pump it a few times, just, you know, 3 times or so to where the bubbles come out. Now fill that thing up. You see that oil starting to like make a little dome right there, but it's not quite leaking. That's perfect. Now we've got our bleeder screw. This is the stainless steel or the aluminum shock caps, but if you have the plastic ones, you have to drill a hole in them to do the emulsion style like this. Our bleeder hole is like right there. See it? Blow it out. Make sure nothing's stuck in there. Turn them the opposite way until you feel them start, and then turn them on. Okay? Your shock shaft's still down all the way. Slowly tighten this thing down. And you're going to start having some oil leaking out of that seep hole. And that bleeder hole. Let's see if I can get the light right. I got enough lights in here. You'd think I'd get enough light. Let's see here. There. Maybe you can see it. Anyhow, might have to take my word for it. Keep going like that. Now I'm cranking it all the way down. Still actually no oil coming out of this one yet. But when I push the shaft up, there will be. So I'm slowly going to push the shock shaft up, very ever so slowly. There it comes. There's the oil leaking out. See that? As it leaks out, just take your hand off and wipe it away. And keep working your way up. Wipe it away. Work your way up. Wipe it away. Work your way up. Once you get to the very, just slowly, take your time with these things. There you go. All the way up with it. Now hold it with your finger there. Don't let it move. Okay, that's important. Take your little screw. I like to start this little guy by hand, because you cross thread this, you're fitting to have a real bad day. Hold it at a 45-degree angle like that, to where the bubble would be coming to the top. Take your wrench, tighten it down, just snug. This is a very small screw. In RC stuff, you got to think about what screws you're dealing with. You know, sometimes you can get a little bit hefty with things, but not with something that size. Okay, now your air is all locked out. There's no more air being allowed into or out of the shock, okay? It's just what's in there right now. So now, because it's emulsion, which like I said, it's little air bubbles in the liquid, in the shock oil, the silicone. It's silicone, just like they put in women's breasts. But pump it 20 or 30 times. That feels nice already. Sometimes I wonder if this second step's even necessary. But they do it online and in the manual and whatever. But honestly, I think that's probably pretty nice. But let's do this together here. Pump it 20, 30 times. Get all that air in there. You're not worried about your spring or anything. The spring comes last. It's not part of this process really. Okay. Now pull it out all the way. It's gonna pull back in a little bit. It just does that. So I would pull it out all the way and then let it pull back in to where it stops. See it getting shorter? I would let it just do that, because you don't want it sucking. That means that there's pressure in there and it's pulling itself back up a little. You don't want it sucking air in when you release that screw. So now go up here and remove this, and you're going to have some fluid come out. If you don't right away, you're going to here in a second. So now after you loosen that, nothing came out yet for me. You're going to do the same thing you did the first time. You should have a little bit of fluid come out at the end here. Oh wait, geez, I'm still sealed up. Really? Okay, there we go. Make sure you got the screw out far enough. There we go. See that? We got more leaking out. Don't let it back out again. Hold that, every time you push it all the way in, hold it there with your finger. I'm not doing what I told you guys to do. Start it with your finger. Boom. It's easy to start with your fingers. Crank it down one last time. That's your second bleed. You're holding it in with your pinky the whole time. Don't let it move. You don't want it to suck, because if it moves down, it's going to suck air. Tighten it down to a final torque. Wipe everything off. Take a little spray of Simple Green on the top, just to get all that silicone off of there. Now let's see. Smooth, look at that. Hardly any rebound, that's what you want. You push it in, hardly nothing. Pull it out, hardly nothing. Just a little bit, sucks back in a little bit, it just does that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feels amazing. You've got that. So the biggest, the most important thing about repacking your seals and everything like that in that bottom section is you're introducing this green slime back into the system. This green slime doesn't let air or silicone travel through this point. Okay, that's important. Now that you've done that, put your spring on. Put your carrier on. I'm going to give you a free little tip that I just learned recently that somebody might miss. But anyhow, you put this back in, you put this screw back in here to hold your carrier onto the bottom, okay? I went to the track the other day and this thing ran great, but I think it was binding a little, because when I was doing the test, ooh, that feels nice. These shocks are amazing. So, when you put these back on the buggy, see how that's different? On one side you have the set screw, and on the other side you have nothing. You want that side with nothing. You've got on the inside here, okay? You see that little bit of rubbing that was happening on that A-arm? I believe that was because I put that side, I was trying to hide that side and make it look pretty. So I was putting, when I put it on there, I was putting that side on the inside. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So that was rubbing. So you want to make sure that's facing out to where it's not interfering with anything. So just take your nut off of there. You want your bleeder screw to be facing out. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to say is, like, I go with the inside mount hole there. Hang on a second, no. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. That's that screw. Here, let me get my, hang on a second. There. That's what you're looking for. See that? You want that to be on the outside so it doesn't rub on anything. Anyhow, I'm just learning on, you know, practice here on my little tutorials. Somebody will get something from it. But that is how you do that. And another thing to remember is with these emulsion style shocks, I know it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's going to get it on the track anyhow. But if you really want to go even extra, be even extra before a race or something, pump your tire up and down 20, 30 times, or just push the car up and down, because that's getting all those bubbles distributed evenly into those shocks. It's going to make them work very, you know, predictable and the same all the time, whatever you want to say. There's that MKS servo I just put in yesterday. That thing's sick. Anywho, hope y'all enjoyed. It's a long video, but hey, there she is. It's beautiful. You won't regret getting one of these, the buggy or the truggy. It's the Tekno ET410 is what this is, and you can also get the EB410. 10th scale electric buggy, 10th scale electric truggy. This thing's bulletproof. Actually, you can break the front arms if you run into things. You can also break pretty much anything on this thing if you run into things. So yeah, get yourself some spare parts.